Alright, you guys, do you remember Lollipop Chainsaw? This is a game developed by Grasshopper Manufacture. That's the guy surrounding Suda51, who's responsible for things like No More Heroes, for example. Also a Killer 7, if you remember that. And what else is there? There's a bunch of games that he made. It's mostly weird Japanese with Japanese games with like a heavy influence of American cultures. For example, this very much set in America and based on this high school life, I guess. But then again, it really pains me to say that because this is so cliche driven. It's almost, well, it wouldn't be fair to say it's almost not even funny, because it does definitely offer a lot of humor. Like, this basically the drawing point right here. Why you'd come and check this out is mostly the humor, because it's over the top, it's ridiculous. You are a, well, I don't even know how to phrase this right now, but you are this bossy chick, I guess, in a miniskirt with a chainsaw, just slaughtering zombies, chopping their heads off, and while you're doing that, just sparkles and rainbows flying all over the place. Your health bar are lollipops. You pick up lollipops, and it's strange. It's absolutely super ridiculously strange, and I do want to say a few things about this, because this is actually not one of those games that I have fond memories of. Like, you know, when I started this series, I set it out to be a series about the games that I own. Whether I like them or not, just my thoughts on them. And this is probably for the first time one that I just don't have these fond memories of. I mean, previously we were covering games such as Shadow of the Colossus, an incredible game, and a game that I want to play multiple times just because it's so amazing. But this, while it is probably the genre, or like in the genre that you'd usually associate with replays, or multiple playthroughs, much rather, it totally does not even like get me interested. It didn't get me hooked enough to warrant a second playthrough, and I'm going to talk about a few reasons why that is, and why it might be worth checking out if you can get it cheap, and that is also what how I got it. But why it still maybe isn't the most enjoyable experience and could have been much more. And I mean, maybe first of all, the positive things here, right? I mean, it is insane. It's absolutely ridiculous, and that's a lot of fun most of the time, because I mean, a lot of games nowadays, they try to be super serious, they try to have these serious stories, but back in the days, games weren't at all about that. Games were about being weird and maybe doing something differently, and I do appreciate when games do that. But then again, if they do that, the mechanics surrounding that better be really good. And this is probably where the game really just doesn't shine all that much, because from my experience, and yours may certainly differ, from my experience, it just doesn't have the most interesting combat system. It's mostly, well, it's essentially, I think, yeah, like 4 buttons if you don't count the jump button, which I totally wouldn't. I mean, you can incorporate it into your combos, but then again, probably not the biggest part of it. Mostly you just have a heavy attack, or no, it's not even heavy, and well, I guess it kind of is. You have this 2 chainsaw attacks. That's one, which is the lower one that I'm currently using. And then you have a high one, and then also these, which are basically faster attacks. And while they do offer some variety, and you can unlock new skills and new combos and new moves and whatever you want to call those things, it's not as enjoyable to play. Like, the gameplay just doesn't get you hooked. To me, it absolutely didn't. And then the second problem that this game most certainly has is the variety. Because, I mean, the gameplay isn't really all that fancy, I've already established that. But then, at the same time, the levels and the enemy variety and just how things look, well, they do definitely try to just vary it up a little bit. There's like 6 levels and they're all fairly similar, and what you do in those levels is also very, very similar. It always goes through the same things. Does implement a few new mechanics every once in a while where you can later then, like, I don't know, get some kind of upgrade for your chainsaw that allows you to basically use it as some kind of speed boost. So you have these running sections almost. And then this, I don't know what the fuck is up with this. I don't want to be doing fucking 30-second quick time event just to get this guy over to where he needs to go. Now, I know 30 seconds was definitely me being absolutely exaggerating there, but still, like, why? So, some of the things they implemented, they just didn't implement well, and that's essentially what my feelings about this game. It's a fun concept. It's fun to maybe play through once if you're patient. Like, this is not the kind of game I would recommend to just absolutely anybody. You gotta be open to new experiences, different experiences, and I guess that guy just got killed, yeah. What happens if one of the guys you were supposed to save gets killed? They turn into a super zombie. And that's what we're dealing with now, so I guess that's not really too cool. Whenever you talk about these kinds of games, I guess there's also something to be said about the difficulty, and I would say that it's high. I do remember being very, very frustrated with the game when I was actually playing through it, just because in the later levels there were some sections where you, I think, maybe weren't able to skip cutscenes, which would be a major flaw, but I can't really confirm that as of right now, just because I really haven't spent any more time with this. And that's also a zombie cop that we're now facing. Yeah, you don't want to thank him because he's actually going to shoot you. And these guys are absolutely the worst. I hate them so much. Alright, kind of weird too that B is the jump button. Doesn't really feel right to me. It should be A, shouldn't it? Then again, the A is the down swipe that I'm now trying to do here. This one. So maybe that makes sense, it being the lowest button that you have. But yeah, I don't know how for how much longer we're gonna go on with this. But have you played this game? There's probably not too many of you that actually played this, because it definitely didn't get any outstanding reviews or anything. It's a very niche kind of game, and I do know there's a big following surrounding Suda51 and his games, but this is absolutely, out of the ones that I've played, nowhere near being my favorite. All of his games have a very repetitive nature. Like No More Heroes, for example, which is probably the only other one that I've played out of his games, but I'm not exactly sure, to be completely honest. I might be missing something right now. But yeah, No More Heroes basically does things similarly. Like, it has similar flaws, it does things right, just as this game does things right, and that's mostly the aesthetic and just crazy nature of it. And just yeah, basically how over the top it is, because it's really fun to see that. It's a nice change of pace from the serious games that you nowadays encounter. But all very repetitive, all with just aspects of the gameplay that make you really think about why. Why am I playing this right now? Why is this supposed to be fun? Because it does definitely currently feel a heck of a lot like a chore. I don't want to be doing this. And I guess No More Heroes, which I might cover in the future because I do still have it. is probably the best example of exactly that. Because there you have to do chores in order to gain money, in order to upgrade your weapon. You have to fucking mow the lawn or anything, or some like stuff like that. And luckily this game doesn't do it. I mean, it wouldn't fit as well as it does in maybe a No More Heroes, while having said that, it does not fit well. It luckily doesn't do that, but it does do other similar things very, very poorly. Alright now. So I'm not exactly, I don't remember the mechanics and stuff like that as much as I would maybe want, and you might already be able to tell that from just the gameplay that you're watching, because I'm probably currently not really doing the best job that I could be doing. Oh fuck. There we go. That's the button I was looking for, because I know, or I knew much rather, that there was a way for me to replenish my health. I just didn't know what button, and now I'm running around with my super amazing power-up. Sorry for that break, but I just had to throw up a little in my mouth. Yeah, now we're running around with that and absolutely wasting that, which is probably not really the best thing that could have happened. And we are now escaping something, maybe some explosion, maybe just more zombies. And why are these guys hooked up to dynamite? It's weird. That's probably the gist of it, really. It's a very weird niche game, and there's reason that it exists. There's absolutely... It has a right to be available to the public, to be played by people, because this is the kind of game you play in between the more significant ones, right? If you can get it on the cheap, why the fuck not? I mean, it's a weird time, it's a somewhat enjoyable time, it's frustrating at times, it really, really is. I was super frustrated with this game when I first played through it, but it's different. It's very different from everything else that you can find out there, or at least most of the stuff that you can find out there. And I think that with that thought, I'm probably gonna end the video here very soon. We might still want to beat this next upcoming wave, if there actually is one. Yeah, still might want to save that guy, and we don't want to fuck around with these guys, because he is probably more important than just the standard zombies right now. But the dynamite ones, I'm not a big fan of, yeah. And as I was saying earlier, probably not doing the best job right now, because I just don't, quite frankly, remember as much as you might want me to. But yeah, we saved that guy, and that's also now going to end the video right here. That's how you save things. So, I don't know. Let me know. Is this a game that you maybe have played, or have seen, or have any interest in whatsoever, because I'd like to hear some second thoughts on this. I mean, of course, I don't really have the fondest memories of this, but it's still a game I think I'm okay with that I played it. Like, I still feel like I gained something out of it, right? And you can, like, I think you can, like, look up her skirt and she covers it up, which is pretty funny. I don't know. It's just a weird game from a weird guy. It does definitely push some boundaries, but just in terms of gameplay doesn't quite always do the best things. So yeah, thank you so much for watching, you guys. I hope you enjoyed this little look at Lollipop Chainsaw. I will, of course, be back with more games, and then we're gonna see what that is, because fuck, this was quite something now, wasn't it? Goodbye, everybody.